Okay guys, it's the next day. It's been 16 hours and all the grout is set up. It turned out really great. I've already sponged it to clean off the excess. The cabinet, I went ahead and set it in. I have not attached the screws yet. I did have to put a couple of shims on the side to balance or to level correctly. So we're going to sink those screws. I'm going to go ahead and put another screw in these cabinets just to make sure that they put something heavy in there to not fall. And our electrical is all working. The ground faults have been moved. You can see the lights, not a problem at all. So, and even the cover and everything is down inside of the cabinet. Pro tip, if you're going to put a double receptacle inside of a cabinet, it's better if you go ahead and wire that thing up before you put the cabinet up. That did create a little bit of an issue trying to get that done. So at this point, we're going to go ahead and start trying to work the butcher block in, and I'm going to have to expand the butcher block a little bit to make sure that it covers all the way to the edge, and then we're going to have to cut the hole for the sink. Now, one problem with the butcher block is I have this whole wall section here is blocking me, so I can't just bring that butcher block straight in, which would mean I can have very tight edges. What that means is I have to have it cut back a little bit to be able to get it in and wedge that counter in. It's not going to be as tight as I would like because of this blocking. So we're going to see how that works in a minute. We're going to bring it in and see what I can add to it and what I can't. Rip that down with a table saw and attach those with glue, kind of making a border around the butcher block. All right. The customer is going to finish painting, and they have a special back area they want to put here, and they're going to go ahead and put the shelves across here. I've attached everything on the side so that they can put the shelves, because they want to do some wood staining and some special shelving that's going to go here. At the very end, the customer's going to send some pictures and all so that I can add it to the end of this video so you can see what it looks like. Can't wait to see that. So let's go ahead though and let's get to work on the butcher block. Okay guys, this is going to be a quick tip on how to take a butcher block countertop and cut out your opening for your sink. I have figured out basically where it's going to be, and I have marked my center point in between the main cabinet, which is right here. Then all I have to do, place the sink right where it needs to be, set it, made a mark, set it, made a mark. I did that on all four sides, and then I just connected them. So now we'll finish up with the jigsaw. Alrighty. So we've got it like that, with a little tighter. Now we should be able to just use a screwdriver and tighten this into place. Okay, it's nice and snug now. And if you look at these usually tell you where the weight goes. They're saying the weight goes right here. So we're going to take our weight, wherever I put it, this, loosen the screws. one of them all the way out and the other should swivel. Like that. We should be able to swivel it, stick our weight. So let's go ahead, put it on. We're going to just center it right where it says weight. I don't know. I have an arrow. There's no arrow telling me. So what we're going to do is we're just going to center it on the weight sticker. Tight. We can always loosen that and adjust it if we need to. So now let's go ahead and try putting it in, test fit, and see how it looks. Okay, so now our sink is ready to sit down in here. Looks perfect. Looks really good. Oh, and the weights will probably work better. They're wrapped up around our water lines right now. So now what I'm going to do is pull it back out. We're going to get our silicone, put some silicone around it, and then put it down into place. So let's do that. All right, so now it's time to silicone. And you can see the line I made. That's what's going to be covered. So we're going to put a good bead all the way around there. We're not going to worry too much about putting too much where it squeezes out, because I'll use a rag and clean that up. A couple of things to know. I would wear gloves because silicone sucks when it gets on your hands and can be a real pain to get off. And I'll leave a link for some of these. These are my favorite ones. I get them on Amazon. They're usually get plenty of room and they last longer, and they're grips. So when you go to put the silicone on though, be sure you cut a nice sized notch so that you can get plenty. Silicone is not like caulk. Caulk, you don't have to puncture the end. It'll start on its own. Silicone though, you will have to use your puncture tool and puncture it before you start. So let's go ahead and start, and we'll go ahead and put some silicone. And this is the white one that will turn clear as it dries. Make sure you're using 100% silicone. I'm expecting squeeze out when we put the sink in. That's to be expected. That's what you want. That's how you know you've got a good seal. Now, one trick with a caulk gun, if you're not familiar with caulking, get to the end and push the button. That causes it to release pressure and will stop a lot of this runoff that comes out the ends. If you don't do that, it's just going to keep running out and gunk up. Be careful not to get my lines in the silicone. Just like that. Bring it down. Get it lined up. And push it down into place. Now, one of the things I'm going to do, well, first I'll go ahead and clean off the excess. That. You want to try to get that off pretty good that's sticking out there, especially if you have stain, because it makes it hard for more stain to go on. Right there. There. See if I can get a good part of this it does not have. That. Alright. So now once I've got that in the place that I want it, make sure that I don't have any on my wood in places that I don't want it. So that's there. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do though is you're going to want to take your tape measure and make sure that your sink is where you want it. So 3 3/4, 3 3/4. I'm exactly even. I want to leave it there. I do not want to touch it anymore. Just trying to make sure I don't have a bunch of caulk there that's going to be hard to get off later. So now all we're going to do Let's take our lines. Now this is pretty simple. The right is going to be, or my left one here, the blue is going to be cold, and this one is going to be hot. And we're going to set those up. And normally my hots are on my left, so it's going to go here, and this is going to go here. We just use a adjustable open-end wrench. You know, trade name, people call it a crescent wrench, even though that's actually a brand name. We are going to install. So you don't need any kind of sealer on these because they have a gasket already built into this. So you're just going to take and put this on. Be careful not to hit your valve, because this is, remember, just a quarter turn all the way on, so you would get a bath. Okay. I'll leave it set for this one right there. Kind of awkward doing this, making sure that you guys can kind of see what's going on. Okay guys, these are hooked up now. Now one of the things I'll tell you is if you don't hold the line while you're trying to tighten that little nut, these I guess are cheaper lines that come from the factory with this unit. It tends to twist and it'll bind up where it will not allow water to go through. So be sure you've got a hand on that line and a hand on the nut while you're trying to tighten it. That's why I had to turn off the camera for a minute so I could get under there and hold it so that I would not do that. There's your weight all hooked up now. So when it pulls out, the weight will come down and hold it in place. Next, we're going to go ahead and tie in our drain. Alright guys, putting the screws in the side and going through the actual end grain makes for a weak connection, and they're going to have a microwave up here, which worries me. So I'm going to go ahead and brace these. I cut some of the oak, pre-drilled the holes. I'm going to glue and then put the screws, and it should be thick enough where it doesn't stick out the other side of the panel. And I can use the good screws on it as well, even though the glue will be the biggest part of the hold. So I'm going to go ahead and put some on, like so, and even it out, just like that. Now I'm pushing them back away so they don't look really bad sticking out. Okay guys, quick pro tip. There's multiple ways to put your casing on your door. If you're doing this, you can pre-install the sides and corners, get them on, use the quick set glue. On this one, I'm doing it one by one to get it exactly right. This width, by the way, is going to be 4 and 5/8 is this width. So one of the things that you need to be careful of though is don't just take a measurement from the middle down to get this measurement, because this header can be turned just a little. This header was actually turned about 1/8 of an inch. Remember, I had to cut this into this wall and do it from the back side, so it wasn't a normal header where you would put it in framing and then put your sheetrock. So it's easy to be out 1/8 of an inch. So I ended up with 78 3/4 here, 78 and 5/8 here. So, and it's the same thing on the opposite side, but reversed. So all you're going to do is make your measurement to 78 and 5/8 to the left, 78 and 3/4 to the right, and you'll make a line and then cut that. That way you're not putting a whole bunch of caulk in here. So once I get it lined up, see, it's pretty tight. That's what you're looking for. You go ahead and that looks good. Shoot that. And then check it all the way down and make sure that you are nice and tight here. And you're using little small nails so that the caulking is really quick. Alright, and now we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay guys, when you're putting on your casing and the trim that goes around, you don't take that trim and put it right up to the edge. You have what's called a reveal. Now I use my gauges, these right here, which I used earlier on some of the project, but you'll use these gauges. Check what the reveal is on the doorways that are already in the house. I just checked and this one is a 5/16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark a 5/16 inch reveal right here, and I mark it on both sides, top and bottom. And this is going to give me a guide for cutting my trim and placing the trim. You'll also I generally mark the side one and then the bottom. That way I can get the trim exactly where it needs to be. Just like that. And I'll put one more at the bottom. But to go ahead, for sake of speed, to show you what I'm doing, I'm going to measure all the way down to the floor, and I'm going to measure up to where these two meet right here. That's the height of my trim. So we are exactly 79 3/4. So what that's telling me is that's the beginning of my 45 cut. If I want 45s like this, not to this point, but to the inside point. Very important. A lot of guys that are starting out, they'll try to cut from here, and obviously they're going to be short. They get mad and they have to go back to Home Depot and get some more trim. So to this cut, this is my 79 3/4. I'll go down and I'll measure, I'll make a mark, and then I'll set my saw at 45, and I cut my 45 right to the top of that mark. Then when you come up, you're going to line it up on those lines that you made, and now you have a very nice reveal. And you'll attach this, and then it'll look really nice once it's all caulked and set. So it's that simple. Hopefully that'll help. Let's go ahead and let's get this attached.